All right, man. All right. Hey, if you if you have ever been trying to better yourself in any way, shape, or form, whether that be going to the gym, whether that be trying to find like the right career for you, whether it be trying to better your health, maybe I don't know, something as small and simple as getting outdoors more, taking more walks. I mean, it could be anything from something very small and simple to very big, extreme, if you will. You're gonna notice a pattern of loneliness, and this pattern, right, of loneliness is that every time that you try to better yourself, it's gonna, you and a little bit of society is gonna separate in some way. Let me explain. Is that, let's say that you are trying to better your health, trying to cut back on sugar and a ridiculous amount of sodium. I mean, sodium's good for you, but if you have it too much, or if you have too much of it, then that's when you enter the danger zone. So you're trying to cut back on a bunch of sodium, trying to cut back on intaking so much sugar, right? What's gonna happen is that you're gonna notice some people in your life kind of trying to say like, oh, it's cool, man. Hey, it's fine to just have one dessert here and there. Just come out with ice cream for us. Come out and have this junk food meal with us. And, you know, if you're anything like younger me, kind of a sucker, you'll just fall right into it and be like, yeah, you know what, it's just once. And then what'll happen is the same thing will happen in a few days with either the same people or different people. Fall back into it. And then before you know it, doing this time and time again, you start building up a habit of just chowing down sugar and too much sodium, saturated fat, all that bad stuff, right? And then before you know it, the exact thing that you were trying to cut back on becomes an addiction. Even if it doesn't feel like one, if you're having it on a daily basis, it's practically an addiction. And you know, if you were to say no to these people, like, oh, I don't want to go out for ice cream, or, you know, I'm trying to cut back or something, they'll just go without you. The real ones, hey, you'll go with and they'll be totally cool. You guys can still laugh and have a good time. But the not real ones, who you might think are real, they don't really want you to go with. I'm trying to cut back on alcohol, but then, you know, they want to invite you out to like a club or to get a bunch of drinks, and then because you don't want to do that, you know, they just say, forget it, you know, and then you stop seeing them more and more. And then if you want to, that's a little bit on the less extreme side, I would say, because of the fact that like, I mean, there's a lot of people that would still let you come along if you have some ice cream or whatever. Maybe not to like a club or a bar or something like that if you're trying to cut back on alcohol. But if you want a bit more extreme of a version, if you're trying to get into shape, right, you're going to the gym a few times a week, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, right? And you got groups of people that are constantly, oh, come on, come out, come skip a day. You know, you can go a day without it. And I was a sucker at one point, and I fell into this. This was back in this was high school, man. Wow. This was like high school, but kind of toward the end of high school. So I was going to the gym very consistently, and there's this one night where I went to the gym, and I was probably, I don't know, a fourth into my workout, like kind of like 25% of the way done if I had to estimate, because I remember that I wasn't halfway done. I remember thinking to myself that I still have a long way to go, so it's not like I was halfway done or anything. However, my friends had texted me saying, hey, we're out right now, you know, like, come hang out with us, like, you know, it'll be fun. And of course, hey, you know, friends are important, people are important, but at the same time, your own personal responsibilities, you know, especially if you're in the middle of doing it, you got to finish it off. It has to come first. That's kind of what differentiates a man is that he'll finish his responsibilities, right? You got to take care of his responsibilities, and then you could have some fun time after. And by the way, if I were to finish my workout and go out with them after, I still would have had plenty of time. And that's exactly what I told them at first, is that I'm going to finish my workout and then I'll gladly come out with you guys. And they were like, no, just come out now. But like, we don't want to wait all night, even though they were going to be out for a good chunk of the night. Okay, so what did I do? I gave in. I put down the weights in the middle of my workout. Well, maybe not the middle, but still, I put down the weights during my workout, and I just left the gym, and I went out with them. And then, before you know it, this starts happening more, and I give in, and then I start building a habit of just quitting in the middle of my workouts. And what do you think that did to my progress over a little bit of time? Nothing good. And again, they were out for a good chunk of the night. Why? Because I was hanging out with them for hours. Whereas if I just spent an hour finishing up my workout, I could have made a lot more progress. I could have been building good habits. It's not even just about, build muscle and get jacked. It's about building good habits. It's about taking care of your responsibilities. It's about taking care of your physical health, because that stuff is very important in life, man. I mean, how do you expect yourself to continue going out with people if your physical health ain't in good shape? How do you expect yourself to, really have the best life you can if your physical health is going down the drain, and if you're not even able to build good habits, and you can't even stay disciplined or take care of your responsibilities, especially as you're becoming an adult, and that's exactly what was happening. So it became just a habit. And what I finally had to come to realization with was that, hey, I like these guys. I do. I like my friends, but I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of my responsibilities. Make time for people, yes, but take care of yourself too, man, because you can't really live a good life if you're not. The better your health is, honestly, the better lives that people live. But regardless, the better your habits are too, the better your discipline is, the better your life is going to be as a man. Trust me. If there's anything I've learned over these years, it's that. And again, still would have had plenty of time for these friends. But anyway, I decided just to start putting my fitness and my goals and stuff first. Besides God, of course. God comes first. And then people, if there's like emergencies or something, then yeah, of course, hey, I would drop my workout for emergencies to go help out someone that's in need, or if someone really needs me, absolutely. But just for hanging out, it's like, okay, I got to finish my responsibilities first. And so, I started doing that. And yeah, I had some less time with my friends, but the real ones stuck around, whereas the not real ones are the ones who said, yeah, nah, he doesn't want to hang out with us. He doesn't care about us, and they would just go out without me. And I would invite these people into my workouts too, like, hey, come work out with me. No, we don't want to do that stuff. All right, well, I tried, man, But, at the end of the day, man, you're going to notice that the more that you improve and better yourself, the more lonely life is going to get. And this is simply because a lot of people don't really want to better themselves. And it's not about making life all about you, but you also do have to take care of yourself. You got to better yourself. If you don't, life just gets harder. Trust me, it does. But if you continue to better yourself by doing the hard work now, taking care of the responsibilities now, then in the end, it still makes things easier in the long run. Yeah, life's always going to be hard and difficult, but it makes things easier, more doable, more sustainable, and better in the long run. On top of that, God wants us to take care of ourselves. God wants us to take care of our responsibilities, take care of our health. God's word talks about that, so it's like, hey, at the end of the day, I can sit here and say, oh, it's about getting jacked and being better. It's not. It's about, becoming, it's about getting better, man, and doing the things I need to do as a man, and it's about doing the things that God is telling me to do as a man. It's calling me to do, right? And at the end of the day, man, God comes first. At the end of the day, I got to take care of myself, because if I don't, how am I supposed to even, live life in the long run? And again, personal responsibilities, man. That's part of becoming a man, is just taking care of your personal responsibilities, knowing what comes first, knowing your priority list, putting your priorities first. And again, if people needed me for emergencies, I'm all in. I'm dropping the weights and I'm going and helping those people. But if it's to hang out, that's cool, that's great, it's fun, but I got to take care of my responsibilities first. It's about having that list of priorities, and once you start getting your priorities straight and you start improving yourself and your life, that's where life becomes more lonely, because a lot of people don't want to do that. And that's why you hear things about like the top 1%. It's not about saying that you're better than everyone. It's about saying that you're not like most people, because most people, or at least a good chunk of people, I'll say, don't care about responsibilities or don't care about priorities or anything. It's just all about doing whatever in life, and it's fun for a while until it comes back and it bites you in the butt hard. Trust me, been there, done that. It bites you hard, whether it be, you know, with your finances, whether it be with your physical health, whether it be with your mental health, you know, habits, discipline, faith, relationships, all that stuff. You know, hey, you can just sit there and, you know, say you don't care about any of this, or just, you know, not even put priorities where they belong. Again, it comes back to bite you hard. So once you start getting your priorities straight, you start bettering yourself in the areas of your life that need to be bettered, hey, you're going to notice yourself in a more lonely position. And that's just how it goes. So what do you got to do with that? What you got to do is learn to enjoy the loneliness. And it's kind of been one of my hardest struggles, yet also turned into one of my greatest blessings over time. Because in high school, I was always hanging out with so many different people, man. I was always hanging out in groups. And believe it or not, because I was a nerd, and I would always get made fun of and bullied and picked on, yet I had like my group of like nerdy, dorky friends who also would too. And a lot of times they would actually pick on me too. So a lot of them weren't even real. They just hung out for the fun of it. But I still like went out with a bunch of people and did a lot of things on weekend nights and stuff like that. And now I have only a couple of real friends. And a good chunk of my time is spent with family, or simply just doing my own personal responsibilities, spend time with God, stuff like that. And I simply had to learn to just adapt to and get used to the loneliness, and understand that if I'm going to follow the path that God has for me, it's going to mean I having to separate myself from a lot of people, because, you know, a lot of the people were pulling me away from that path that God has for me. Not intentionally, you know, not like they were bad people. I mean, okay, some of them did not care about me or have my back. Actually, a good chunk of them did not care about me or have my back whatsoever. Nonetheless, still hope and pray the best for them. But I also had to separate myself from them too, because it was more just like holding me back and taking me away from, you know, the responsibilities I had, the work I had to do, the path that God had for me, and it would just get me in trouble. So over time, I had to separate myself from these friends, and there was quite a few friends like who were always just kind of jerks to me. So I mean, it wasn't like all that hard for those people. But then there are a lot of people who like would like kind of pick on me, but at the same time like also have fun around with. Some of those people it was hard to have to separate myself from, but I did what I had to do. I didn't tell them to go F off or anything. I just said, like, you know, I became too busy, right? That's what happened, is that I would work out a lot more. And I would pick up more hours at work and do the work that I need to do. Spend more time with God, spend more time with people that really had my back, and over time, you know, made less time for those people, because again, you know, I tried inviting them to my workouts, and I tried inviting them to just, you know, let's better ourselves together and stuff. But no, they didn't want to. They just wanted to club and party and drink all day and night. You know, which that's on them, man. You know, that's on them. But hey, the path to bettering yourself, it gets lonely. It gets lonely just because a lot of people don't want to, and so naturally that creates like that barrier between you guys start separating. They're living their life, you're living your life, and before you know it, hey man, you guys are pretty much separated. That's just the bottom line. And so, you know, I can sit here and just say, oh yeah, go out, make more friends, and you know, go meet some more people. And absolutely, as life goes along, you should do that. You should meet more people, and then if they end up becoming kind of, people that end up holding you back from what you need to do, then all right, it's time to separate. Hope and pray the best for them, but separate yourself from them. Become too busy. Understand the right people to keep around, because even God's word says, bad company corrupts good character. Doesn't say to hate those people. Just says to separate ourselves from those people, and that's what we got to do. We got to separate ourselves from the company that's not good for us. Whether that be they're holding us back, whether that be they don't have our best interest. The real ones, man. Hey, they'll stick around, and you guys will work together like real brothers. You guys push and motivate each other. You guys help each other. You guys stick with each other. But there's a lot of people that just keep you around just for the fun of it. And then once you start wanting to actually better yourself, then they don't want you around. That's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. Unfortunately, but it's the truth. So you got to let some of those people go, and you also have to know who to separate yourself from. And it's better to have 2 real friends than it is to have 200 not real friends. So don't forget that, man, because at the end of the day, hey, that's probably what's going to happen. Is you're just going to end up with 2 real friends. Totally cool, man. Totally cool. And you'll end up with 200 not real friends. If you choose not to let them go, or if you choose just to give up, whatever path God has for you, and give up your personal responsibilities and your priorities just to keep them around. That's just the bottom line. So, hey, you got to get used to being lonely, because it is part of the journey. So, that being said, don't know where I turn into here, but again, hey, you just got to adapt and get used to being lonely and enjoy it, because I'll tell you what, it is actually kind of peaceful. A lot less drama, a lot less, trouble you'll get yourself into. It's a lot more peaceful. You got to learn to enjoy the peace. Again, stick around with those real friends. Go out, have a good time. Go on some adventures with these people. Absolutely. Go out, meet more people, meet more friends. Absolutely. But do understand that there's going to be seasons of your life that are extra lonely, and then some seasons of your life where you do got a lot of people. You just have to learn to adapt and survive to both, because it's fairly possible. And once you just start looking at the good side of it all, because the good side of loneliness is a lot more peace, and you start learning to enjoy that, then, hey, you'll learn to enjoy being lonely, and a lot less drama too. You'll learn to enjoy being lonely. But nonetheless, of course, meet some new people, make some new friends, absolutely, and just understand who is healthy for you to keep around and who it's healthy for you to separate yourself from. Because at the end of the day, that's going to make all the difference. Whoa, probably shouldn't have gone there, but that's, my bad. That's what's going to make all the difference, is when you just kind of, learn who to separate yourself from and learn who to keep around, before it starts taking away from where you need to go in life and what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, if you let people hold you back, you'll never know the great things you could have made of your life. But the right people for you will never hold you back. The right people will simply be there to support you along the way, no matter what, even if you guys have to separate for a while. The wrong people, they're going to hold you back. And if you choose to go and become that better man or live that better life, go down God's path that He has for you, they're not going to be happy with you, and they're just going to let you go. That just goes to show at the end of the day that they were never really real to begin with. Nonetheless, still hope and pray the best for them. But hey, don't stick around them. That's the bottom line. The journey to getting better, following God more, it's going to get lonely. But at the end of the day, all you really need is God. And as long as you got those real people around, that's all that really matters. And that will happen. The real ones will stick around. The not real ones, they won't. So just know who to keep around and know who to separate yourself from. And remember to put the path God has for you above all else, and especially your own kind of personal responsibilities and stuff like that, just as a man would.